So when this picture made its way into my news feed a couple of weeks ago, it caught my attention. This was a single family farm in Tennessee, Bogota, Tennessee, run by two brothers, Justin and Tucker. And for years, their father had taught them that when the waters rise, we build levees. So it was the only dry land in the midst of terrible, muddy flooding. Described it this way: just normal things around here doing what we have to do to save the house. We have the equipment ourselves. We're very fortunate. I'll build it 30 feet tall if I got to. That's what Tucker Humphrey said. When he was asked about all this notoriety they'd gotten, how this image went viral and everybody was blowing up and talking about it on the internet, they said, "Oh, I guess our dad would be proud that we were paying attention." We paid attention all those years about the importance of building those levees. And so when the storm waters rose through the southeast, you may remember those violent storms that came through. 29 people died. It was in 7 different states. Tucker and his brother were on high ground, or at least they had high enough ground around them to protect themselves. But what do you do when you don't have the equipment? And what do you do when you can't build the levees? How do you survive then? I have a backstory to hearing Mason and Jen sing. I've been after Jen to sing now for several years. You know, when I find out things like the fact that Jen used to sing in a band before she came to our church, I remember things like that. And so I've been kind of planting seeds, and I finally found the way to get her to sing. I said, "Mason's a senior in high school this year. Wouldn't you love to sing with your son before he graduates?" And I finally found the ticket. And so Mason was the one who found the song. Mason sent us the song, a really cool acoustic version of this song that we decided to weave into our Mission Impossible series. God, keep my head above water. Seems like an impossible task at times. And so I got to see them rehearse the other day, and you all got to enjoy hearing them sing today. God, keep my head above water. It's an Avril Lavigne song. Avril Lavigne wrote these lyrics when she was in the midst of her own deep space. It was 2014. She was battling Lyme's disease, and her body was breaking down. If you've ever known somebody who's gone through Lyme's disease, sometimes it can be easily treated and cured. A lot of times it can't be. I remember walking with a family in my church in Bethesda 20 years ago. Their teenage son had developed Lyme disease, although they didn't know it. He went through test after test after test to figure out what was wrong and why he was having all these symptoms. And she was in the middle of her own nightmare when she felt like she was dying. I'd accepted death and could feel my body shutting down, she writes. I felt I was drowning, like I was going underwater, just needed to come up for air. And it was that experience that became the impetus for a song and then an album, Head Above Water. Head Above Water. The words that they just sang go like this: "Yeah, my life is what I'm fighting for. Can't part the sea, can't reach the shore, and my voice becomes the driving force. I won't let this pull me overboard." And it comes to that powerful refrain: God, God, keep my head above water. Don't let me drown. It gets harder. I'll meet you there at the altar. This is a prayer as I fall down on my knees. And Avril Lavigne claims it as a prayer, crying out to God in the middle of her torment. And then there is that pounding rhythmic refrain: don't let me drown, drown, drown. Don't let me, don't let me, don't let me drown. So pull me up from down below. We've prayed prayers like that, haven't we? I've been a pastor long enough to accompany people who have prayed prayers like that in all kinds of situations. Maybe it was a job situation, a job loss that came from out of the blue or for no apparent reason at all. And suddenly you felt like you're drowning and you had a mortgage to pay and you weren't sure where that was going to come from. Don't let me drown, drown, drown. Maybe it was a relationship that ended badly, painfully, a marriage you had entered into with such high hopes, and then suddenly you find yourself on the edge of divorce, drowning. Don't let me drown, drown, drown. Maybe it was a health crisis that came your way unexpectedly. And suddenly you're in doctor's appointments and you're getting chemo treatments and you're waiting for the next test results and you're crying out to God, don't let me drown, drown, drown. Don't let me drown. Now, I came to discover that Avril Lavigne's experience was not unique. She wasn't the first to feel this way, and that shouldn't surprise us. Linda Ronstadt, back in 1968, when she was part of a group called the Stone Ponies. Anyone remember Linda Ronstadt way back then? A couple hands, right? Up to my neck in high muddy water was her song. AC/DC even had a song about being up to your neck with something. Cameron Diaz in 1986 was in a movie. That's like a long time ago. 1986, head above water, head above water. Just keep my head above water. Now, all of these artists, all of these movies, all these songs, they're not original, and I'm not mocking them for that in any way, because they're just describing the human condition. We've used that phrase, we've used that language about trying to stop from drowning because it's a primal fear, right? None of us want to drown. None of us want to go down, down, down in that water. Keep my head above water. It was an ancient cry of the Israelites who crossed that Red Sea. Don't let me drown, drown, drown. And so it should not surprise us that it shows up in the Psalms. Not just in Psalm 69, which we have for us today, but in multiple Psalms. Save me, O God, for the waters have come up to my neck. Up to my neck. I sink in deep mire, where there is no foothold. The psalmist cries out, I have come into deep waters, the flood sweeps over me, I am weary with my crying, my throat is parched, I've been crying out to God, my eyes grow dim, waiting for my God. The psalmist knows where we've been. The psalmist knows our hearts as well. The psalmist knows the universal pain of suffering, and so these prayers are not new. As much as we think they are new and creative, these prayers have been prayed for a long, long time. Don't let me drown, drown, drown. And while suffering is universal, it is also painfully unique and deeply personal. Which is to say, it doesn't do you much good when somebody tells you and you're in the middle of your suffering and your pain, your particular pain, was that you'll get over it. Everybody suffers, right? That doesn't help. It may come to all of us, but it comes to each of us in our own unique ways. And so we pray. We cry out. Keep my head above water. Keep my head above water. Keep my head above water is sometimes the only honest and also the best prayer that we can pray in that situation. Because sometimes we want to fast forward to the end where everything's all put back together, right? And sometimes the most immediate prayer that we need in the moment is just keep my head above water today, in the next hour, in the next minute. God, keep my head above water. The psalmist goes on to turn to God in agonizing faith. My prayer is to you, O Lord, at an acceptable time in the abundance of your steadfast love. It is still a cry, a claim of faith on this God who will be there and show up. With your faithful help, rescue me from sinking in the mire. Answer me, O God, for your steadfast love is good. Crying out with just a sliver of hope, just a sliver of faith. Keep my head above waters. Draw near to me. Redeem me, God. Stephen Colbert does this little shtick that repeats around Valentine's Day and Mother's Day, and it was on just the other night. I got a chance to watch it. It's kind of a fun little shtick. And he does the before and after like first drafts of cards. You know the wonderful Hallmark cards that I hope you all got for your moms, by the way? Those cards that appear in the racks are not always the cards as they started out, and that's the whole premise of this. And I realized I want to get this quote exactly, and I left this sitting here. Here it is. So I went back and looked at some previous episodes. It was on the other night, but back. So, for example, it says, "Happy first Mother's Day to my wife." And watching you become a mother has been one of the most beautiful experiences of my life. I love you. And that's like the final version. But the first draft was, "Happy first Mother's Day to my wife. Watching you become a mother was one of the most terrifying experiences in my life." And then you just walked around like an hour later, "I fear you." Or one that said, like with a peppy cheerleader on the front, it said, 1, 2, 3, 4, you're the mom that I adore. The first version said 1, 2, 3, 4, Mom, that's still not a secure password. How many times have we been through this? Or the cover that says, "I am everything I am because of you. Thanks for being the best mom ever." First draft, not so nice. "I'm everything because of you, but my therapist says with time and effort we can fix that." Or this one, "Thanks for being there. Maybe you weren't the best person to teach me spelling." All the best Mother's Day cards, though, do echo that first sentiment, don't they? Thanks for being there. It's funny, I just had watched this, we'd recorded it was on Thursday night, and we watched it Friday night, and then I got to see my daughter, Christine, who gave Holly a Mother's Day card yesterday, after we celebrated our granddaughter's birthday party. And the Mother's Day card basically said, "Thanks for being there." It said, "Thanks for being there through all the good times and all the bad times," right? And if you're a parent, you learn early on that you are not always able to protect and shield your kids from life's pain or hardship. You learn early on that as much as you try, sometimes they're going to run into things. Sometimes they're going to cry. Sometimes they're going to get hurt. Whether it's breaking up with their first boyfriend in middle school, you can't always be there to save that. Whether it's not making a sports team that they had their heart set on, you can't fix that. You can only be there. We were there with our daughter. Or whether it is any other number of things, you can't always rescue. But the thing you can do consistently as a parent, the thing you do have control over as a parent is what? You can be there. And when your kids look back on their relationship with you, that's what they will remember. Not that you solve everything for them, not that you rescue them out of everything, but were you there for them? And in my experience, God rarely plucks us out of the water like a Marvel superhero. As much as we would like that. Occasionally that does happen. Suddenly there is a dramatic rescue. Somebody's cured from cancer unexpectedly, unexplainedly. I don't want to discount that. But in my experience, God often shows up more subtly, more like a mom or a dad who is just there to help us get through, to help us keep our head above water. God just keeps showing up. God, the one just lifting us high enough above the water so we can get through this day, this ordeal, this pain, and get back on solid ground. And so, friends, this is a great prayer to pray this day. God, keep my head above water. Because we have a God who will never leave us to drown on our own. A God who, even when it feels like we are sinking deep in the mire, when we have no way out on our own, we have a God who just keeps showing up again and again and again and again, and somehow manages to keep our head above water. We don't know how, and we don't even think it's possible. But a God who does and a God who will. Thanks be to God. And thanks be to Mason for showing me this song and bringing it to our church. And thanks be to Jen for finally singing. Amen.